Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Hey guys, you know how we've talked in the past about what you need to do or what you can do if your case is getting really held up by the SSA. Not so much when it's in the medical workup stage, but when you're at some glitch where there is nothing to be done except some internal behind the scenes things. There's no determinations to be made, no discretion to be had. So internal workings have somehow gotten stalled. It could be you've won your case and you haven't been paid in months. You know, the payment just hasn't started to go through, and it's not like they're asking you for more information and you're responding and there's something going on. So anyway, I was doing this, granted, it was pro bono for a particular reason. And the person, it was multifactorial, but that's not really the main issue. The person, but I will say this in a nutshell. The person had an outstanding disability claim, but it was taking so long that now the person was going to lose her home. So it's desperate straits, not only taxes, I think, on the property, but part of the property is rented. So the landlord was obviously, going to have to at some point pull the trigger on an eviction. So things are not good. She reached out to me. I think it might have been the landlord that sent her my way, but reached out to me wanting to know if there was anything that could be done. And the interesting thing was here, the person is old enough to file for early retirement. And we have videos on the pros and cons of filing for retirement early, but we've also noted that when you are in the middle of a disability claim and you happen to be 62 or older, you could file for early retirement should you need to, if your finances dictate or for whatever other reason. It just means that there would be less back benefits when you prevail, obviously on your disability, but you would get the difference between the disability and the early retirement for any month you'd be due the disability retroactively should you prevail on that. But in the meantime, you're feeding yourself because you have early retirement. Okay, so according to this person, multiple phone calls to the particular SSA office, which is irrelevant here because this could happen anywhere. And she was told she couldn't file. Well, she was told multiple things. Things always get very inconsistent. One of them sounded like she had prevailed on her disability and she's getting hold up in payment, but then there would have been a letter, so I don't know about that. And someone else said that you can't file for early retirement when you have a disability claim. So not true. We do them all the time. So anyway, we had a three-way phone call with the field office last Friday, I think it was. And we decided if there was no word back, it might have been Thursday, don't hold me to it. If there was no word back by end of day Monday, that we would confer and let's do a congressional inquiry. So this is about that. I through a little meandering, the site isn't really prepared very well, I have to say. No offense to the congressperson in question. But eventually we found the place where you could ask for help. It used to be, you'd see a link. It seemed like the same on all the sites. It said, help with a federal agency. It was right off of the part that would be for us to look at, constituents. Help with a federal agency. But there was none of that. So we eventually found it. And I filled out with her the thing and sent it in her behalf and told them that I was, typing it up for her and helping her since she doesn't really have the wherewithal to do that. And I will say I'm very pleasantly pleased. And I gave him a little bit of the rundown in the forum and got a response back today Today is Wednesday, April 17th. So that was very expeditious. Now, I will say we picked the congressperson because there's a few you can pick from, right? There's 2 senators and then you have a representative. We picked one of the ones that were coming up for re-election in fall of 2024, as opposed to the one that doesn't get called until 2028. I have no idea if it makes a difference, but figured it couldn't hurt. And I did get an email back from that office for the from the constituent advocate. And it's the standard email you get when you do reach out to them if they're going to email you back. So I wanted to, and of course they're all written in a different way, I'm sure, different senators and congressmen and representatives. But I just wanted to give it a rundown for you. Obviously, they thank you for reaching out to so-and-so's office regarding your client's case. And if it was you without an attorney, and you could do this, you don't need me to do this for you, this whole thing we're talking about. Our office would be happy to reach out to the U.S. Social Security Administration on behalf of Mary Doe's behalf, I'm making up a name. Although our office cannot guarantee a particular outcome, point well taken, I want you to know that we will do our best to help Mary Doe receive a fair and timely response. And that is the gist of it. We reach out to them when there's been a cog in the wheel, not because we don't like a decision or a determination, because that's not the purview of Congress to interfere with the justice of a case, whether we agree with the justice or not. Only if there is, in this particular agency, a cog in the wheel, something to that nature, something objective. They then go on to say to begin the process under the provisions of the Privacy Act, blah, 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 blah. Got to have her sign a release when making inquiry on behalf of a constituent. That would agree. Normally that's on other congresspeople's sites. So if any congresspeople are paying attention, you should have your release right on your site. No one should have to reach out for it. And now we're making this a whole nother thing. If that release was on there, which other congresspeople I've done this with before, not often, every few years, have it on there. And that's a little more expeditious. If it was up there, we didn't find it. And granted, I scouted around for maybe 10 minutes, no more, but I'm not going to do it more. And neither are other people. We're going to assume it's not there if it's not readily findable. Okay. The attached privacy release form must be signed by Mary Doe and returned to our office as soon as possible, either by mail or by email. I like the fact that it can be emailed because snail mail around here is, once we receive the release and any supporting documents, we can begin to work on the case. If she wishes for you to receive information on our case, she must list you on page 2 as an authorized party that our office can speak to, which I'm sure she'll do. Please do not send this form to any other office, as that will result in an unnecessary delay. And they all go on to say, if the case involves medical or healthcare information, our office may ask you to complete a release specifically authorizing access to medical information necessary to resolve your case. That's obviously not relevant here. And then in actual numbered format, please remember that the law and rules of the United States the United States Senate, our office cannot, 1, force an agency to expedite your case or to act in your favor. I get that. And I do know that lay people always go in there asking for help to get it expedited, like leapfrog ahead of other people. They can't do that, but I do know that they reach out when you do reach out to them and ask for that. But here they're just saying, which is obvious, they can't force an agency. Okay. Number 2, offer legal advice or recommend an attorney. That's good. 3, get involved in matters under the jurisdiction of any court or legal entity. Good. 4, intervene in matters under the jurisdiction of a school district, your local government, or the state government. Well, that's good. I know they all say that. And in this avenue, obviously, that would be relevant, and that's not even part of this issue. But it is funny that they say that, because goodness knows we know how people poke their fingers in and do favors for people all the time. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know what that email said. And in the actual form, it makes sure of some of these things. It makes sure that you're not involved in any court matter with this. I know they also asked about if you'd reached out to any other congresspeople. I think they don't want to be both working on the same matter. And can you imagine, You might, if you don't get help from one, I could see you might go to another, but you would say like, well, I reached out to so-and-so, but that office never reached back out to me. Um, but obviously they don't want to Congress people working on the same, I don't want to work on something somebody else is working on either. Okay, so again, the congressional inquiry, the request you could make to any of your Congress people, of which you should have at least 3, it's really helpful. They got back to us very expeditiously, I'd say, really within 20, well, yeah, within 1 business day, because I think I sent that thing in after 4 o'clock on Monday, I believe. So not bad, guys. Congress, um, Mr. Congressman, I'll say you that. That was relatively expeditious. That's what I would expect, because that is what that team is for. So it's not him obviously taking time out of his day, but I was glad to see it happen, because sometimes it does take a week. So they're pretty on the ball. All right, congressional inquiries. Don't leave home without them if you need them, and only for getting a cog removed from the wheel. Don't ask them to try to affect your case. It's not going to work, and nor should it. Okay, bye guys.